Welcome to this episode of the Million Dollar Mastermind. I'm Larry Weidel, and let's get started. I am back with multi-million dollar earner out of California, self-made man, Mario Arrizon, inspiring hundreds of thousands of people around the country. And it's because he started at the bottom and worked his way up. And uh, nobody was nobody was knocking on his door, bailing him out or giving him free money. He had to be the guy who was out the door before anybody else. And he learned a lot of lessons. And one thing I'd like to, so welcome back, Mario.
Thank you so much, Larry. I appreciate it.
And of your, let's just talk about things that make a big difference. And you learned, let's just talk about extras, doing the extras. And that's how, there's one thing of hard work, but some people, they think hard work is putting in a lot of hours and just going through the motions for a long time. Every person getting beat in life, if you ask them, they're just working all the time. How much do you work? Oh, I work all the time. I never have a minute off. I'm always, it's just like in our business. The guys who have the fewest appointments whine the most about how busy they are, and it's because their life is a drag. But they're working, in their mind, they're working hard. So separate that. One thing about working hard is you do the normal stuff, but you're doing the extras. And so talk about that.
Absolutely. So for me, I have a passion for this, Larry. I have a passion for my business. I have a passion for educating people in their finances, showing them how to have hope again. The biggest thing I do is I show people like, hey, you can do this. So for me, Larry, that's my mindset. I don't consider like, oh, I have to work or I have to do this appointment. When you have that mindset, honestly, it's not good. When people have to do it, you get the least amount of results. You get the least, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just the worst of the worst from it. But when they get to like, man, I get to do this. I want to do it. You get the most out of people. So my mentality is like, man, I get to talk to these people. I get to build my business. Every day is it's like, for example, like a box of chocolates, right? You never know what you're going to get. So that's my mindset, Larry. And what I do is I realized this. I was going to be working for a job for somebody else. Why not do it for my own last name? And I don't say you have to work all day, Larry, but in the beginning, work at least half a day. Half a day is just 12 hours. That's it, right? But in 12 hours a day. And guess what? Eventually, it's going to compound. In your business, all your efforts will compound if you don't get discouraged. So many people want this to be like a microwave that happens overnight. It doesn't. It compounds. And those that stay persistent and keep on getting better, it's just a matter of time. You know what they say? Wow, overnight success. No, they didn't quit when things got tough. That's the secret. They got better.
And it's really doing that separates, when you're starting out, you need to decide for yourself what is going to be characteristic of how I go about my day that will separate me from the people who are doomed to failure or doomed to mediocrity. How can I jump up? How can I separate myself and have a chance to be elite and special? And one thing is doing the extras, going beyond what is normally expected and doing all the extra things. And when you're in there, if you have your mind engaged, these things will come to you. What if I did this? What if I got there a little earlier? I'm supposed to do this. What if I did this? And what I found is those extras, like even on appointments, I always found like if I set one appointment at night, to go out and, or during the day, one appointment, usually that would be a no. I'd have the appointment, but it'd be a no. If I set two appointments in a day, I would get a no and a maybe. Well, maybe. But if I set three appointments in a day, I'd always have a yes. It was like the law of three. But if I went and I had four appointments set, this fourth appointment would almost every time be another yes. So if I wanted 2 yeses,
Wow.
I had to have 4 appointments set up. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
So good.
because like doing the extras. And so in terms of, but if that's the pattern for your life, and you're doing it because you have decided you don't want to be average and you're not going to let yourself be average, it's easy for you to get yourself on that track of looking for the extra. And really, like, you know, I heard that thing, this just lit me up. I'll never forget it, where like, if you take the difference between 98 and 90, let's just say nobody can work 100% of the time. But if you take the difference between 98, everybody can do a little more. And so if you just concentrate on doing a little more, the difference between 98% effort and 99% effort, only 1%, but compounded over a week, a month, a year, staggering extra benefits. And you've seen that play out in your own life and in other lives time and time again, right?
Yes, yes, Larry. And you know what happened at first? I would put such big goals that I'm gonna do today. And guess what, Larry? For example, I'm gonna make 100 calls today, and I ended up making 40 or 50. And you know what? I lost my day. I'm like, man, I'm a loser. And I put that self-talk. What I started doing, Larry, I started tricking myself that I'm a winner, because your energy introduces you before you can introduce yourself. Even on the phone, they can hear you. They can. Hey, how you doing, Larry? Yeah, you know, I got something to offer you. What is that? But instead of like, hey, Larry, how you doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day. I can't wait to share with you. And then it changes everything. Wow, I like this person. So let me tell you something. Guys, your energy is super important. You got, and your mentality, your attitude. Well, how do you have a good attitude if you feel like a winner? If you feel like a loser, it doesn't matter what you got. There's multi-billionaires that feel like, man, what is wrong with me? Because this person, look, guys, I'm just telling you right now, you learn to start to win the day. Let me give you an example. Larry, even little goals every day. Let's say 3 or 5 goals, no more than that. I'm gonna make 10 calls today. I'm gonna do this today. Little things that you can control, not results, things that you can control. I'm gonna read 30 minutes today. Guess what? You check off all those 3 things, you know what starts happening, Larry? You start feeling like a winner. You start saying like, man, I'm a winner. I'm on track. The one thing that I know is true is progress equals happiness. So if you are progressing every single day, guess what? Your attitude's going to change. Start winning your day, and little by little start adjusting your goals. And guess what starts happening, guys? You're going to win the day. You're going to win the week. You're going to win the month. Eventually, you win the year. Eventually, you win the decade. It's unbelievable how much your life can change. Exactly what you said, if you're growing every single day. But attitude is everything. Your attitude is absolutely everything. The great Art Williams said there's only 2 things you can control: your attitude and your activity. And if you're on that every day, game over.
Yeah. And, you know, in the early days, Art would stick his head in the room and like, listen, before he would come on and speak, he would just like, he'd do it at a place where nobody could see, but he would like gauge the energy level in the room before he came up, so he could match that. If he would know if he had to raise, you know, the energy level, had get everybody on their feet or something and going, or they were already there, you know, they were already fired up and ready to go. But it's, and also, especially if you're sales or you've got to get the energy up on the other side of the conversation if you want to make a sale. If you want to get someone to like you, guys are out there with girls. You want to get if the energy's not there from the girl, you got to get that energy up. You got to ask a question. You got to, get her laughing or do something, get some energy up. If you want to get the banker to give you a loan, when you go in there, you better show them something, say something, to have something to where you get the energy up before you make your presentation. Because if the energy's low in the other person, if the other person is individual, small group, big group, whatever, if the energy's not right, whatever you have to say to them is not going to be well received, and that's why people like me and you, when we speak, we always are laughing and trying to get them laughing, because we know that makes it's like plowing the ground, people that are dead, I'll tell you this way. Early in my career, I had to drive to Lynchburg, Virginia, 2 hours from Greensboro. I went up there and somebody put together a group of people in a bank and we were recruiting. And I went up there and, I brought the fireworks, the thunderstorm, the hurricane. I mean, I let it all go, and everybody was just wild. They were enjoying the whole thing. Went 2 hours, but right in the middle of it, there was this couple. They sat there like stone face, just stone face. And it was so hard. I think reason I brought all the fireworks and everything was I was trying to get them to break down, to get them up with everybody else. And I never did. But at the end of the meeting, get a lot of this, they came up and said, "We've never been more excited in our life. This is the greatest thing we ever heard." And I almost punched him out. So I said, "Well, tell your stupid face about it then if you're excited, But I said, "Do you realize how hard you made it on me?" And but you've got to be conscious of this, because that's where people say, "Well, I went out and I talked to so many people and I tried this and I tried that and I never get results." Yeah, but you were talking at people. You weren't talking to them, with them. I mean, you didn't have respect for the what you were picking up, the vibe you were picking up from them. And like you said, I've never heard it said better, your energy introduces you before you introduce yourself. And it's the same thing about whatever your idea that you want to introduce. If they don't think you're fired up about, like a great message requires a great messenger, if they don't think you're fired up about it before you start telling them about it, why are they supposed to get fired up about it?
Yep.
And when you teach, some people this comes naturally because they work. I've never seen somebody fired up who doesn't work, and I've never seen anybody who wasn't fired. The people that are the deadest with least ideas are the people who are just not working, and somehow they expect to be, they hear a thing, attitude is everything, but you're never going to have good attitude unless you work. And when you get out there and expose yourself to people, sometimes, let's just talk about, sometimes you're going to get overwhelmed. Sometimes you're going to be tired. Sometimes you're going to be burned out. And the important thing is for you to have made your decisions about where you're going, like you said, the perspective, so you can go back and self-talk, because nobody's going to self-talk you out of that at that point. There is no life coach who will show up on your shoulder. You got to be your own self-coach. And that gives you the consistency which you have done such a great job at your entire career. And that allows you to maintain your momentum so, things can compound and grow. But talk about how you look at that. It's like I'll give you an example. This weekend, I've just had my operations manager here from Atlanta for 10 days. And, when they're here, you're doing stuff, you're talking early, late, 10 days. I've got 1 day break today. And, the highlight of the day is the podcast with you, of course. And, but it's not like I've got a free weekend to recover from these 10 days. And what I've got is another 6-day project lined up that it's going to be fun, but it's going to be, learn a lot of things, see a lot of things, mind blowing, this, that, and the other. But, it's kind of like, geez, I need a breather here. But here's what I said to myself last night. And you have to say these things yourself, because I was getting where it's like, good Lord, I should cancel this stuff. You try and never cancel things. Guys, if things get on your schedule, try and be the person who never cancels. You always find a way to plow through, because a lot of those things, just like Mario, her mom, abort the baby, this, that, and the others, even you'll do that to yourself. Well, I need a break. I need a breather. I need to care. If you find a way to plow through, you'll find that you'll get your rest along the way. And a lot of those meetings you were going to cancel or trips you're going to cancel, like mind-blowing things happen, and you find out there's another force in the world that did not want you to get exposed to that and have that in your favor. You know what I'm saying? There's subtle behind the scenes forces out there. And so what I said to myself, Mario, was, it's a privilege to be able to go to Denver and do that. It's going to be a privilege to go after that to this other town. It's a privilege. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. And then all of a sudden, I started to get a different attitude about it. And I had the greatest night of sleep I've had in a long time. And so everything has to do in terms of consistency with how you talk to yourself.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that has to be everything. You got to make a decision that, you know what, my goals and dreams are not for sale. You got to plant the flag that it don't matter how tough it gets. I'm not going to sell my goals and dreams. I'm not going to sell my soul for money. I'm just not going to do it. And Larry, there were some times that everyone looked at me like, Mario, maybe this is the time to throw in the towel. I'm sorry, but my goals and dreams were not for sale. People can get either bitter or they can get better. And look, if things are not going your way, that's a big sign that you need to adjust. That's a big sign that you need to get better before. You know what I used to do, Larry? Let's say I didn't pass an exam that I needed to do, pass. You know what I used to, that must be a sign from God that this is not for me. No, that's a sign from God that I need to study more, dummy. Plain and simple. Stop blaming God. He gave me every tool. He gave me every blessing. It's up to me what I do with that tool. So Larry, I made a decision. My goals and dreams are not for sale. And you know what people would tell me in the beginning? Hey, young man, relax, calm down. I wouldn't get my hopes up if I was you. BS. You better get your hopes up. You better be fired up. You better be excited and give it everything you got. You know why? Because that's what's attractive. That someone's on fire for their goals and dreams. Larry, there's a huge difference. Like, hey, Larry, I'm doing something. I don't know. I want your input. Tell me what you think. Versus like, Larry, I found the greatest thing in the world. Oh my God, it's going to change our life forever. Let's do it. Like, you're like, what the hell is he excited about? You're ready to join before I even tell you what it's about. It's that childlike enthusiasm that's attractive. How can you be childlike enthusiasm if you're not laser beam focused? Larry, I made a decision that this is what I'm going to do. Everybody's like a fluorescent flashlight. They're everywhere. They're doing this, they're doing that. You know what I did, Larry? I got laser beam focus. I'm going to master this. And then once I master it, then I can expand to other things. But people do it backwards. They try to do 10 different things at one time. Total commitment equals freedom in anything. So many young men, including myself in the beginning, well, how do I know if she's the right one? We're so scared to commit. But when you commit, guess what? It equals freedom. I don't have to look for nobody else. She's the one. My wife, Franny Arrizon's the one. I don't care how many women approach me like, hey, I'm good. I don't care about that. I got my woman. I got my woman. Look, let me tell you something. Same thing about my faith. Larry, 100 people can tell me, Mario, you're wrong in believing in Jesus. And I'm not here to press religion. That's not who I am. But they can tell me, Mario, you are wrong. This is why this. And you know what, Larry? That night, I'm going to sleep comfortable just like the other night. You know why? Because I made a commitment to Jesus Christ. He's my Savior. That's who he is. I don't care how many different, like, oh, that's good. I think you have the right to your opinion. That, God bless you. Boom. I'm going to wake up the next day just as fired up and excited for the Lord because I made a commitment to my Lord, to my wife, to my business. The problem is people are scatterbrained and they wonder. There's people that are so much more talented than me, Larry, but they're not focused. My edge is I'm laser beam focused on what I want. And there's nothing or anything that's going to get in the way.
And what has allowed you to do that is when you get in a situation, you get the facts and you call a shot. There's a thing I heard from a guy named Bill Glass when we were in high school. He came and spoke to our football team, and he said, you got to have a no regrets life. In other words, you're going to jump out, no parachute. You're going to go and you're going to get on the plane and you're not going to have a parachute with you. And if you get on that plane and it goes down, you go down with the plane. Because you didn't say, like, well, I'm going to get on, but I'm going to hedge my bet. You know what I'm saying? No, he said, you got to have a no regrets if you're going to be successful. Otherwise, you're going to be second guessing yourself, looking over your shoulder, and you'll never amount to anything unless you can make a decision and stick with it. And if you at the point where you don't know what to decide about something, get more information and keep getting information until it becomes obvious what you need to do. But this idea of living in limbo is not going to be profitable for you. You can't live in limbo.
And so stressful.
It drains you.
Your mind's scatterbrained everywhere. Make it a commitment. Stay to it. Stay committed. No matter what hits you, you get better. Learn from it. And I don't see, Larry, in the beginning, anytime something happened to me, I see myself as a failure. Oh, I'm such a failure. I'm only a failure if I didn't learn from it. If I didn't learn from something, then I failed. But every time I did a mistake, if you're an entrepreneur, you're gonna make mistakes. If you take no risk, no reward. When you're taking risks, understand that it comes with failure. But it's not truly a failure if you really understand this, if you learn from it. Guys, I'm telling you right now, look, if you're struggling right now in life, in anything, it's just lack of momentum. It's lack of momentum. Let me just tell you something. When you have momentum on your side, you look way better than you really are. But when you don't have momentum on your side, you look worse than you really are. So let me give you an example of this. A train traveling 55 miles an hour can crash through a 5-foot reinforced concrete wall without even stopping. But that same train from a stationary position can't move through an inch block that's in front of its driving wheel. It can't move. How is that possible? See, it's never, I want you to understand this. This is huge. It's never the size of your problem that's the problem. It's the lack of momentum. See, without momentum, even a tiny obstacle can prevent you from moving forward. With momentum, you'll navigate through problems and barely even notice them. Your job is to create momentum in life that you are unstoppable. When you start focusing on all the little things, it destroys your momentum. So life is all about momentum. I'm Mr. Momentum. If I'm gonna write a book one day, it's like, man, how to create momentum. That's what I am. I can take a team, I can take any company, it doesn't matter. It's all mindset and how to create momentum. I'm Mr. Momentum Creator.
All right. And what I like about you coming back to that point is it brings us back to how we started this section, because it was all about, you got to put in the time, you got to put in the effort, you got to, separate, you got to look for the extras that you could do, because what you're doing is you're getting momentum created inside your own life.
Yes.
And from there, then you can start to add other people to the success you've created and expand your momentum. And then if you know about how to talk to yourself so you don't have these pauses in the action where you lose all that forward thrust, where you can keep yourself moving even when you're confused, even when you're tired, even when you have health issues or whatever, you know how to keep yourself going forward and maintaining that momentum, which allows it to grow. But it all starts with you making a decision about the things like, I'm going to do the extras that allow me to build momentum, to be different, to elevate myself, beyond which, like you said, with momentum, you look a whole lot better than you are by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Just sitting in a chair. And so anyway, fantastic stuff. I appreciate you sharing. Can't wait to get back. And next time, I want to talk a little bit about the thing that gets glossed over a lot. It relates to momentum. We're going to dig into momentum, but how you get that way by expanding friend to friend, like that, how you mushroom your contacts and you expand your impact through a network of friends who become clients and people who work for you and whatever, and how that feeds your momentum that doesn't fall apart, that has real strength and staying power. So let's do that next time. Thank you, Mario.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Uncle Larry.
Thanks for listening to this episode of $1 Million Mastermind with me, Larry Weidel. If I've helped you in any way, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. For more information like this, listen to our other $1 Million Mastermind episodes and check out my Weidel Academy YouTube channel and visit us on WeidelOnWinning.com. I'm the $1 Million Mastermind, and until next time, go, go, go.